This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
This episode is presented by Tully, the perfect tool for high school and Division III programs. Tully helps coaches track player readiness, performance, and development all in one simple platform. Instead of guessing where your athletes stand, you'll know who's ready, who needs attention, and how your team is trending week to week. With Tully, you get the confidence that your players will stay strong and prepared deep into the season without adding more work to your staff. Learn more today at tully.app or click the link in the show notes.
I think one of the things that Ryan does exceptionally well as we plan practice is giving a focus to each 5-minute period.
We're trying to mimic drives as much as we can and the feeling of a game of going on and off. You may have the one offense out there versus the scout team, and it's an 8-play set, and you've got 5 minutes to get it done.
Over the course of the 12 months, that they'll feel great about their physical health on Christmas and the 4th of July if we're playing the way we want to be playing. In order to maintain that type of physicality we need through the end of the calendar year, it takes the work done in the beginning of the calendar.
We just wrote this one-page creed that means it's written in kind of our language and uses words like palm up and falcon toughness. And now it's a very meaningful, powerful piece that our players kind of know. And if you suck at pregame speeches, write a creed, just have some players help you.
You're listening to the Hansen Ratings D3 Coach and Coordinators of the Week presented by Tully, the platform designed by former Harvard football players to help teams communicate, stay accountable, and perform at their best throughout the season. Every week, we highlight the coordinators and head coaches whose leadership and preparation powered standout performances across Division III football. As always, I'm joined by the mind behind Hansen Ratings, Logan Hansen. Logan, another big weekend in Division III football. Tell us what caught your attention.
This week and last week, it really seems like there's a lot of offenses that are really clicking right now. When I look at my coaching grades, I'll have close to a dozen teams that have an A+ grade on their offensive side of the ball, and then maybe only 1 or 2 on the defensive side. So people like to think when it gets cold, maybe some scoring goes down, but that's not been what's happening in the last 2 weeks in Division III. There's some teams that have really figured it out offensively and starting to put up some amazing performances, and some teams defensively that are really standing out because so many other top defenses are struggling right now.
There's no doubt it was an incredible week of performances, and we've got 3 outstanding coaches to recognize. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball where perfection was the standard.
Yeah, this is maybe the most impressive offensive performance that I've seen in the last couple of years of doing this. That honor goes to Andy Helms of Carnegie Mellon this week, who beat Dickinson 70-29. And Dickinson was a quality program. Going into the game, Carnegie Mellon and Dickinson had the same record, and Carnegie Mellon just dominated. They had no punts, no turnovers on downs, no field goals. It was literally the perfect game. They ended every single drive with a touchdown. And, I know as coaches, they've got to focus on the next game. You got, one day to enjoy the win. But I hope after the season, the coaches and the players can look back on this game and really soak it in and understand how crazy of a performance that is, going the entire game, scoring a touchdown on every single drive for the entire game. Just outstanding. Some more details on that. They had an average drive length of 69 yards. The shortest drive was 55 yards. So they crossed the 50 on every single drive, and they had 7.1 yards per play. And when you're driving that far, every single drive, you get a lot of yards, 666. Or 664 total yards, nearly 300 yards rushing, and nearly 400 yards passing. Great performance. I don't know. I've run out of superlatives. This was just outstanding by Coach Helms and Coach Larsen and the staff at Carnegie Mellon.
That is incredible efficiency by that program and execution at every level of the offense. We opened this week on the offensive side of the ball where Carnegie Mellon put together one of the most explosive outings in the country Head coach Ryan Larsen and offensive coordinator Andy Helms share the duties for the Tartans, and together they had their offense humming, spreading the ball around, controlling tempo, and keeping the pressure on all afternoon. Coaches, congratulations on a great win, for putting up a lot of offensive points, and for being recognized, and we're happy to be on with you.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely want to shout out our whole offensive staff. I know it's just Andy and I on here, but Jeff Simmons, our wide receivers coach, Bernie Colbert, our offensive line coach, which our offensive line was selected D3football.com O-line of the week. Can't not shout them out. And then the tight ends are a huge part of what we do. So Coach McGee, so our whole staff, and obviously most importantly, our players for making it all go.
Well, we appreciate that. And as you know, we ask that our recipients share an idea with our listeners. And you talked about practice mimicking what you do in a game and your different blocks of practice, and how now you're using a little more good on good. How about you guys share a little bit of that with us, Ryan?
I'll talk about the structure part. I'll let Andy take the good on good part. So from the structure standpoint, we base everything on 5-minute segments in practice. And really the thought process is we're trying to mimic drives as much as we can, and the feeling of a game of going on and off. And so you may have the one offense out there versus the scout team, and it's an 8-play set, and you got 5 minutes to get it done. But if we finish it in 3 minutes, you just earned yourself 2 minutes of rest, right? Or if it went to 4 minutes and 52 seconds, you only had 8 seconds left in that period. Well, you didn't earn as much rest, but you got your plays done, and then you're off, and then we're usually then like onto a special team or something different. And so it really mimics that feeling of going on and off the field. But I also think the nice thing about it too is, like, if you're having a great set, it's great. It's great energy. You flow it into the next thing you're doing. But sometimes we don't have great sets, right? And if it's a tough set, we're messing up a little bit. It also allows us to kind of end the set, pull it off, get to the special team, regroup a little bit. It's usually where I'll find the leaders of the offense and be like, hey, we got to clean it up next time we're out there. And then we're on to it. I just think, yet again, it's so similar to a game. It's a 1-0 mentality. Like, let's go 1-0 this drive, right? Our goal is to score. And if we can do that, great. But if we don't, now we have to go communicate, readjust, fix what we're doing, and then get back. So that's kind of what we do from a practice standpoint. Overall, I mean, we practice for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes tops. So we are fast in and out. And then I'll let Andy talk a little bit about the good on good stuff we've been doing more this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think to Ryan's point, the good on good is great just to get your guys out there going against good, fast speed. Not that the young guys can't provide a good look, which they do during the scout team periods, right? But I do think just being able to also, like, I'm laughing because I'm drawing cards. Like, I don't have to draw cards up for those 2 periods we're doing today and crossover, because Coach Gibney is going to be calling it up for the defense, and I don't have to draw. That saves about half hour of my time of getting cards ready for that period, those 2 periods or whatever. But Ryan was able to then communicate with Coach Gibney, hey, what are you guys seeing this week? What do you want to give us in terms of looks defensively? And we kind of are able to help each other out that way. And again, save some time, frankly, as you go to prepare. And then also you're getting better competition, and then you can have some focus. I think one of the things that Ryan does exceptionally well, and as we plan practice, is giving a focus to each 5-minute period or whatever. And then he said, when we're in that 5-minute period, we're in that 5-minute period, and good, bad, or indifferent, we're on to the next. And transitioning from period to period is something I thought he's really done a great job of when he came here. Just tell you, like, guys, we got to roll. Like, you maybe think you're going to get that full 5 minutes in that period. You just know I better plan for 4, because we're going to be running and he's going to be waiting for us in that next period, right? So I do think it's good to have that, hey, on to the next, keep coach on the run. And I think we get a lot out of our players in that regard. And then also kind of getting back to how we plan practice and how we utilize the time as we go through our team periods. It allows that focus of, hey, the 2s are doing these 6 plays, and they're focusing on maybe 2 different sets, right? Maybe 3 plays from one formation group or package, if you will, and then another 3 plays against 2 different looks. And you can kind of talk to the quarterbacks or the guys about, hey, we showed you some tough looks today, literally, and here's how we should have handled that. Or you can even in between, before the specials or right after, when you do get done, hey, the next set, just know we're going to be showing you the 4 down looks or whatever. We're going to go back to those tough looks that we showed you. And just so they can kind of reaffirm of what we're going to do, and kind of give them the answers to the quiz ahead of time, but just so they're ready to roll. And then after we get through team, we have a great period. I don't know if I can share this as well, but like, we have a great run review period that really allows us, if anything was bad, during those team sets, we can go back and clean that up. And it's not, oh, we have to wait till tomorrow to clean up. We clean that up, and then we try and get the ones running some of the reps, the plays the twos had. We already have the cards drawn. Let's get some more work in with those. And so I think just being really efficient and maximizing your time, again, all within how Ryan structures practice, allowing us to coach and get the most amount of work done and the time given. Super efficient, in my opinion, in terms of how we can get that stuff cleaned up.
Ryan, I'm curious, over our history, most coaches, I'm assuming you would probably agree that most practices are 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. When you said that you're an hour and 30, hour and 45, I'm curious as to why your practice is a little shorter than what most practices would be. And I'm sure you have a good reason for it. Tell the listeners your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we have academics to deal with. And at 6:35, I got to blow a whistle for 7 p.m. class guys to get out of there. And what I never want to have happen is our players feel like they're leaving to go to class and they're missing something really substantial. And so to Coach Helms' point, what we'll do that last 15, 20 minutes of practice after I blow that whistle is we'll go back to kind of cleaning things up. We'll go back to individual and group work. So all the scout team stuff and all the special team stuff has already been done. But really from 5 o'clock to 6:35, that hour and 35 minutes, that's where we get the bulk of our work done. And that includes walkthrough, stretch, individual, group work, team, scout teams, it's all done in there. And then that last bit, we kind of go back to the fundamentals. We go back to the idea of group work, clean it up. We didn't ID this correctly. And honestly, most of it's done out of necessity. But I also will be honest, as we get to now in the season, I'm starting to trim a period or two off at the end of practices still. Because I think from a mental psyche standpoint, it's good for our young men too. It's getting darker, it's colder. Freshness is everything, right? You've got to be fresh and excited to play. And I think that was something that helped us last week too. We started trimming back last week. And our guys were ready to roll come Saturday when we played Dickinson.
I'm also curious, Ryan, because I've always been intrigued with practice efficiency, and we used to do blocks as well. And they weren't always 5 minutes, but for a majority of the blocks they were. I'm always curious, though, to know if people time the transition from going from your team period to your special teams period. How much time do you give your guys and your coaches to get that next period set up? Because that's time.
That's where Andy alluded to it. My philosophy, and I come from the Al Bagnoli world of being coached, and when that clock hits that period, let's say it's period 5, in period 5, we should be doing PAT field goal. Like, we better be kicking PATs and field goals within seconds after that horn went off to start period 5. So you're better off ending period 4 a little early, get done, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, left on that clock so we can transition. I will say that I'm a little more loose when it comes to offense and defense. When they're trying to get their scout looks, I may tap my foot a little bit, but not as hard, because I know that those looks are so important. But yeah, we really want to be on to that next thing when the horn hits. And the grace period is probably valued in seconds. We're probably talking about 10, 15 seconds at most. And then you start to hear me holler, hey, we're 30 seconds in and we haven't kicked the ball yet. Hey, we're 45 seconds in and we haven't snapped the ball yet. And so sometimes that's a multitude of things. It could be players needing to get a little bit faster in their transitioning. It could be coaches getting things set up. But I think yet again, it just feeds back to we just want to be really efficient, right? Really, really efficient. And I'm not naive. Like, the first time we do scout punt versus our punt block, the first time we do it in a 5-minute period in practice, it may be a little slower that first time. But the second 5-minute period that we're doing it in practice, we better be rolling. And I understand that may be a little bit of a part of that give and take, because we don't have the luxury of a lot of extra meeting time and a lot of extra walkthroughs and all that. But I think our guys do a really nice job with it. And I think yet again, it feeds back to the players. Like, they know we're not wasting time either. You're not going to stand around at practice. We're going to get you in and get you out and get the work done. And then we're on to the next day.
I think that's critical, that the players recognize that you're trying to be efficient. They appreciate that. I used to hear from kids, oh, coach, where practices seems to be taking longer, and they don't like that. So the fact that you are attentive to trying to be on time, trying to be efficient and getting them out there, are off of there an hour and 35 minutes. I think that's really good. Obviously, something's working and working pretty well there. We really appreciate your time, and we wish you the best the rest of the way. I know you got some obviously important games coming up, and we wish you the best.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys.
See ya.
Coaches, we all know the struggle with keeping players at their best over the course of a long season. You're trying to track readiness, monitor performance, and manage development, but most of the time it's scattered between paper check-ins, text messages, or spreadsheets that take hours to manage. That's where Tully comes in. Tully brings everything into one simple platform designed for high school and Division III programs. With quick athlete check-ins, you get real-time insight into player readiness, workload, and performance trends. That means fewer surprises, healthier players, and better decisions on practice and game day. If you want your team stronger, more durable, and more confident late in the season than they were in Week 1, Tully is the tool you need. Learn more at tully.app or click the link in the show notes.
Next up, we head to Susquehanna University, where defensive coordinator Tim Kologrivov guided his defense to a complete performance, a 34-0 shutout win over Western Connecticut. This wasn't just any shutout. It came against an offense that had been averaging nearly 40 points per game against Division III opponents, Logan.
Yeah, Susquehanna is probably best known for their offense over the last couple of years. They put up some gaudy numbers, but WestCon is a great team that they played. They've got a good offense, they've got a good defense, and they didn't necessarily need the shutout from the defense, but the defense really stepped up in a big way this week. You mentioned it, WestCon was averaging nearly 40 points, and Susquehanna held them to only 10 total first downs on the game and under 200 yards of total offense. They only allowed 2 third down conversion attempts on the entire game, and WestCon went for it on 4th down twice, and one of those was really the only successful drive that WestCon had on the entire game. Their second drive of the game, they went 74 yards, got down to the 1 yard line, went for it on 4th down, and Susquehanna was able to keep them out of the end zone. And then after that, WestCon never got close to the end zone again. And Susquehanna really shut them down for the rest of the game after that. Just a great performance from that defense.
That's dominance for sure, from preparation to execution and start to finish.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
Next up, we head to Susquehanna, where defensive coordinator Tim Kologrivov and his unit turned in a great performance this past weekend over Western Connecticut. It was a complete defensive effort, disciplined, aggressive, and in control from the opening snap. Coach, congratulations on the shutout and being named our defensive coordinator of the week. Before we get into specifics, tell us about your prep and share any of your coaches that you want to give some props to.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, John. I'm proud to represent the staff here, and, it's a group effort. Anytime you get a shutout like that, it takes, more than just the play caller to make it happen. I think it's easy to think it happens on a Saturday afternoon, but most of the time it's a lot more hours than that built in.
We appreciate you being on, Tim, and we'd mentioned to you, and that we asked that you share an idea with our listeners, and you'd mentioned something about what you ask your players to do. And obviously, a lot of people are always looking at what do we want to ask our players to do? So we're interested in hearing some of the things that you guys do are maybe different than what other people are doing when it comes to your players.
Yeah, I think one of the unique responsibilities of coaching small school college football is we wear all the hats around here. So we get to recruit the players that we eventually get to coach. We get to recruit their families get to see, what we're like inside the building, and from the very moment we walk into their high schools to recruit those kids, they should know and start to learn and understand the standard that has to be upheld when you're in this building. But the kids at this level spend so much time outside of the building that what they do in the strength department when the coaches can't be there in the in the winter months, Our kids had the longest summer possible this past summer with, just the way the semester calendar broke. What we asked those kids to do over the course of the summertime while they're also pursuing academic interests and career interests, and to have faith in those guys that they'll do the work when they're not being watched by us is something that we hold those kids to a pretty high standard about. And as a result, when we get them in the building in August and through the months of September, October, and here we are into November competing for championship football, we're capable of holding those guys to a high standard. They know the expectation for what it is a good practice looks like and what it is a sloppy practice looks like. And, even further than that, because the expectation is high for them on a daily basis, that the snap to snap basis and how capable they are of treating each snap as its own individual play, and ultimately understanding that it takes more than, being the best athlete and being the most physical unit. We've got to think sometimes out there and put ourselves in good positions. And fortunately for me, we've got a great staff here that helps us put those kids in those positions. It's a group that knows also what the standard is in the building. My full-time assistant here, Coach Dixon, is a guy that sat in front of the desk with me when we recruited him and his mother to come here in 2015 or whatever year it was. And then Coach Robinson's doing a good job with our inside linebackers, was a 2-time team captain for us here. And we went outside the building and we made a hire from a guy who graduated at the University of Rochester and who's done a great job in the back of the house assisting with our defensive line. So, to put the right guys around the players and to make sure that the coaches know the standard of the building kind of trickles down and ripples out, and we're able to play, finally the brand of football that we knew we were capable of playing.
Anything, Tim, that, again, you're asking your guys to do that maybe other programs aren't necessarily asking their players to do, whether it's in season, out of season, in the weight room, over the summer, anything specific that you could share that you're doing?
Yeah, we do a lot of that around here because a lot of the hours are voluntary, like I already said. We've got this enormous hill behind our cross facility, our field hockey facility up behind Sassafras Street where our tailgate happens. And those kids in the wintertime, last February and March, after the exit we have in late December, we're up there running the hill. The expectation for the players around here is that they know how to jump rope and juggle. And if they can do those things, they'll have good eye-hand, and eye-foot coordination, and helps them become better athletes. What we ask those guys to do in the weight room with Coach Matt is entirely his building, and he does a great job. We get bigger, faster, and stronger each semester that they're working here. I think really understanding that there are only so many hours that the football coaches can get with our players, but still here at a small private liberal arts institution between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m., there's no class here. So usually when we're in season, we're practicing during those hours. But, in February and March and even up until before spring ball, those aren't hours that our students are busy during. And some of the changes we've seen in recent years as we've taken these next steps are the players getting themselves together to do more of that extra work. And that's separate from, what they're doing in the strength department and the running that they're doing on their own. That's, under the leadership of Ehrlich and JT, Josh Ehrlich, and, Brian and Jesse and the rest of those senior leadership, to see those guys go up there doing one-on-ones in March and jumping rope in the racquetball courts, when there's snow on the ground, and running the hill as soon as the snow dries up. It's been pretty impressive, the dedication they've had the year-long program. And they also understand now that over the course of the 12 months, they'll feel great about their physical health on Christmas and the 4th of July if we're playing the way we want to be playing. And in order to maintain that type of physicality we need through the end of the calendar year, it takes the work done in the beginning of the calendar.
Well, Tim, we appreciate very much your willingness to share. You guys obviously have done a fantastic job there as a program, and Tom has done quite a bit with building that program. We wish you the best as you progress. I think, if I'm not mistaken, based on my looking at the conference standings, you guys are leading the conference right now. So 2 more games and you can have a automatic bid locked up.
Yeah, you said it. You nailed it. Coach Park's done a great job building this program. And, I've been fortunate to be along with him now for quite a number of those years, and pretty impressive to watch that man work. And having been here in 2015 and to know what this building looked like, and the talent we have around the program now compared to back then is not even close. In regard to locking up the AQ, I believe if, my math is right, we can get it done this weekend here at home in Selinsgrove. And that's something that means a lot on senior day. This senior class has a chance, I think, on Saturday to win 4 consecutive conference titles. To win a 3rd one here in the Landmark, to go third year in a row here in the Landmark and the Centennial in 22 is pretty remarkable stuff. This is a roster and a senior class that will likely end up in the Hall of Fame here. As we continue to get better and better and the football program continues to achieve new heights, to look back on those Hall of Fame teams is going to be pretty impressive. So we've got a big task ahead of us. Wilkes is a good football program. They're 5-3. They're going to come in here and they're going to give us a good game. And we're kind of hoping that the trophies are in the building, though, to be honest with you. We want to kind of take the pictures here at home and show the rest of the country that you don't want to see the Riverhawks in the bracket.
Well, good luck this week, and we look forward to seeing how the rest of the season pans out for you.
Appreciate it. Like I said to you in the warm-up, I appreciate all the work you guys do to grow the sport here at the small school level. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Finally, we turn to Wisconsin River Falls, where head coach Matt Walker led his Falcons to one of the biggest wins in program history, a 52-14 victory over perennial power Wisconsin Whitewater. This was a breakthrough performance that ended a decades-long drought against the Warhawks and sent a clear message across the WIAC.
Yeah, not just across the WIAC. I think this was, a wake-up call nationally that River Falls is going to be a really tough out when it comes to the postseason. So I did a little bit of research with the help from actually one of River Falls' student athletes who was messaging me on X. And I think that this was the most points allowed by a Whitewater football team since at least 1930. And this was the worst margin of defeat that Whitewater has had in over 25 years. The last time that they got beat worse than this was a 1989 loss to UW River Falls. So let's break it down some of the numbers here. On offense, River Falls had 619 yards and over 500 yards passing. And that's against Whitewater defense that's still, and even after this game, they're rated as the second best defense in the country, according to my numbers. They broke the game open, River Falls did, in the second quarter, really with back-to-back one-play drives on deep bombs of 75 and 82 yards. And after that, there was no looking back. The offense was just clicking. Defensively, this might have been even as impressive as the offensive performance was. Coming into the game, River Falls' defense hadn't been the best in the country, but they shut down a very, very good Whitewater rushing attack. They only allowed 239 yards. Whitewater had more punt yards than offensive yards. And they held the Warhawks, who had been averaging 216 rushing yards per game, to only 46 total rushing yards, and that was on 1.4 yards per carry. So they did it on both sides of the ball. The offense gets a lot of the recognition. They call it the Top Gun offense out there in Wisconsin, but that defense really stepped up too. So, if they can play like this the rest of the way, they're going to be a tough out for anybody who has to play them down the road.
Yeah, Coach had mentioned the quality play of the defense and not just the offense. It obviously was a historic win and a statement for their program that's clearly on the rise. Finally, we head to Wisconsin River Falls, where head coach Matt Walker and his team earned one of the biggest wins of the year. It was a total team effort, physical, efficient, and full of confidence, and it firmly established River Falls as one of the nation's most complete programs. Coach, congratulations on a great win. We're excited to have you on. Before we get into the details, we give you an opportunity to kind of shed some gratitude towards your coaching staff.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, what a special day. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that. I tell my team all the time, and anytime I'm talking out in the public and have a chance with any media, that I don't thank my staff enough. And I say this all the time, and no disrespect to anybody else's staff. I just truly believe I have the two best coordinators in America. Jake Wisting, what he's done with this defense is absolutely incredible. Again, this offensive unit's gotten a lot of publicity over the last 4 or 5 years. And again, we're leading the country in total offense again this year, and very deserved accolades. But it's this defense over the last few years that really deserves so much of the credit. People ask me all the time about this tempo offense and, all these video game numbers. And I said, what's funny is the most important guy to making this offense go is the buy-in of our defensive coordinator. He has himself bought in, the staff bought in, the defensive kids are bought in. When we made this decision to do this, we said, this is a program decision. This is not an offensive decision to truly grab all the benefits of being, what we claim to be the fastest team in the world that plays American football. To do it right, you got to have a program by it. We train different. We think different. We obviously practice different. We play games differently. I've led the country, I think, in fourth down opportunities the last 3 years. It's just, I say, it's not your uncle's football, but his buy-in is important. And then what he's done with this defense, I hard to find the words. Again, that game we just had, you put 50, plus points on Whitewater. It's never happens. No one saw that score coming, not even us. But it's like the defense really is the one that dominated the most on Saturday. They were going to come in and try to run the football, and they do it so well and try to bleed the clock. And, we hold them to 46 yards rushing. They had 12 first downs to our 30. There aren't the words to describe the job that Jake Wissing has done with this offense and the impact. He's been with me the whole time. He played offensive line for me at DePaul. He was my O-line coach when I was the head coach there. I went to Butler, and he left to be an assistant at Swanee in Tennessee to be the OC for his first OC job. And when I got the job here, he was my first phone call and was my offensive coordinator. And then we moved him to defense over COVID, and I just can't say enough about him. And then Joe Matheson, my offensive guy, again, I think he's the best young mind in all of college football. And him and I have kind of anchored each other and gone hand in hand, and we're stuck at the hip with this tempo offense. And he gets so much credit for the success of this thing, and all the publicity he gets is well deserved.
Well, we commend you and your staff, Matt. Obviously, you guys have done a great job. And offensively, as you said, you're leading the country, and there's a lot to that. And I agree with you that the defense has to be bought into what you're doing offensively. So great stuff in terms of what you guys are doing. You're playing with great confidence and poise. As we mentioned, we like our recipients to talk about a coaching idea. You had mentioned, and I love this, as much as we change, we stay the same. And having, your non-negotiables. How about you share a little bit of that with our listeners?
Yeah, it's this idea that I reflect on my career, and I can fully appreciate these wins now and the success now because I went to football hell and back, and I had 0 win seasons, and I joke, but probably serious, I should have been fired from here 3 times. And it was such a hard road to rebuild a program in the best league in the country. We had 44 kids on the team when I got here and won a couple games in the entire decade of the 2000s. And we came in here and we put our vision to work, and those non-negotiables haven't changed. And I think that is important, like you mentioned. And so I've jotted some stuff down. Things like, if you were to ask players that played with me in my first year here or players now, it's just the words, they would all describe our program the same. We use this term palm up. It's this idea that we're all relentless givers to the program, that we're never going to be palm down people. We say it's as big as being a great teammate and working hard in the weight room when no one's looking and all these things, giving great energy at practice. It's as small as, reacting the right way when things don't go well. Like, are you going to throw your helmet and scream the F word and distract practice and take our energy? Or are you going to get your ass up and get ready to go? Everything falls into this category of being a palm up teammate or a palm down one. It's when we break our huddles, we all put our hands like this instead of this. It's this constant reinforcement that we're all relentless givers and great teammates to our program. The toughness piece, very simple to use that cliche like everybody does, but we double down on it. We're like, tough people do tough things. And if you're really going to succeed in this world of college football, you got to be super tough. And we talk a lot about the distinction between real tough and fake tough. It's one of the things my guys, they hear me talk about a lot. Like, I think in our society it can be easy with all these clicks and pictures and images and videos these kids see in their algorithms as they, brain rot through their phones. It's like guys talking crap and playing dirty, and guys think that stuff's tough and flexing on guys. I'm like, that's the easy stuff. That ain't tough. I say, what's tough is not doing that. When a guy pushes you, walking away is tough. When a scout team kid does the wrong thing, instead of, cussing him out and, being a jerk to him, it's putting your arm around him and helping him out's the tough thing to do. So we distinguish between real tough and fake tough a lot, but we say all the time, you got to be real tough in this game. You can't fake the toughness to be successful in college football. The game day non-negotiables, effort and physicality is just what that's just our brand. We say our Saturday brand, it's like, we better lead the game in effort and we better lead the game in physicality. And I said, especially with this tempo approach, there's certain things that people are going to assume about your program when you're going fast. It's that, oh, you're soft and it's basketball on grass and, you can't earn tough. It's the opposite. It's like, we do this to get more chances to be tough and dominate the line of scrimmage. And you got to flip the script on people and play extra tough and extra nasty in a legal manner and be violent in a legal way if you're going to do this, in my opinion, do this tempo piece right, because you're going to surprise people. They think they're getting one thing, but they're really getting the other thing. It's just 100 snaps instead of 65 snaps of it. So effort and physicality. And then we've doubled down on our strength program. I think, again, easy to say in a world of college football that, oh, you think the weight room's important. Of course, everybody does. The COVID time was important for me to reflect a little bit. I felt like it was the first chance in my career to sit back and you were forced to take a breath. And it's like, I got done playing. I went right to coaching football and baseball. I was the head baseball coach for 10 years DePaul. I was an assistant football. I was the head coach of both for 3. I'm running around. I start a family. I'm recruiting every day. And then you come here and get this job. You're having to work 24/7 for 365 to try to turn this around. And then COVID hits. And it's like, again, it was terrible. And we all, the negative things from COVID, no one liked and were horrible. But boy, there was some good that came out of it for me. I was like, oh, I have time to breathe and think. And I did a deep dive and reflection. And I think I tried to find some common themes in these annual powerhouses at all levels, from NFL to college to high school. What are the Patriots and Alabamas and the Whitewaters, and what are these annual powerhouse teams have? I want their ingredients. I want to do that. And I found some themes. And one of them was they all had unique weight room culture. And again, I think it's all of us want to think we have great weight room culture. And in our sport, it's a fabric of who we are. But it was extra special. They all had unique weight room culture. And I said, as good as we think our strength program is, and we had a good one, and Carmen Pado's here before, and Jake Anderson's here now, my strength guys, there's 2 of the best I've ever been able to work with. I was like, we got to double down even more. These great programs, double down. It doesn't mean to do more bench press or to do more squat. It means the tenacity and this core toughness that can be built in and instilled into your program. It really starts in the weight room. And so we've doubled down on strength. So, those are some of the things I would never change. Then I got some of the things that I have changed. I think it became important for me to be willing to change and listen to some other people. And so things like some of these are big, some are small. The tempo thing was the big one, right? We were dabbling in it in 19. The COVID time was the time we said, what are we doing? Let's do it. I don't want to dabble anymore. I want every advantage. It's okay to be different. Again, let's not be sort of tempo. Let's be the fastest team in the world that snaps the football. And let's grab every ounce of every advantage that you can from being a tempo team. And we did it. It was a big, again, I already talked about it. You play different, you practice different, you approach the game different, willing to change. I think running the quarterback is something everybody loves to talk about doing. You're seeing more and more of it, even at the highest level now in the NFL. But there's still some hesitation at all times with doing that. And people all the time get on me about the health of the quarterback. And I'm like, listen, I think in this league and to try to win it all, in my opinion, for us, I cannot run him because Caleb Blau is the best player in the country. I believe that. I think our kid's the best player in America. And it's like, it'd be easy to say, I'm not going to ever run him. I don't know if we could beat Whitewater and lacrosse and some of these teams without running him. So I could, in my opinion, maybe try to not win the league and not run him, or run his ass off and he gets hurt and not win the league anyway. So this willingness to say, I think this is how we can win football games and roll the dice a little bit, I was willing to change and do that. The aggressiveness on 4th down, I was willing to hear people out and go with this idea of the aggressive approach, that in the end, if you do the math and you're willing to roll the dice, you can gain some big advantage. Not maybe in that game, maybe not in the second one, but over the course of a 10-game season, there's big advantage. It's not just at that moment, but the way you can approach 3rd and long and what other teams have to do to you, knowing that you're going to probably go for it on 4th down. There's some ripple effect that I was willing to invest in. It's given us some return for sure. This small one I jotted down, it was a change. These young assistants, now I'm finally old enough to say these young assistants, I'm finally feel older than these guys. They convinced me that we should do our walkthrough day on Thursday instead of Friday. And I'm like, this sounds ridiculous. Like, why would we not walk through the day before the damn game? I don't get it. And they're like, oh, it's the science. It's the right thing. And I said, it's one of these, when you're winning, all your ideas are good, right? And they're all great. If you're getting your ass kicked, they're all terrible. So I'm like, this will be one if we win and everyone will think this is the coolest thing ever. And it just happened in 21. We started and won 9 games. And I said, damn, maybe this is, but there is something to it, kind of more of a midweek reset for our kids in the recovery piece and listening to some of the science. I just believe in it so much. And then we kind of ramp it up on Friday now, but there was something to getting legs back on Thursday instead of Friday that I really love about how we handle our week. But that was a change. I've invested hard in the GPS piece, something I'd never done. And I was getting told from from others because they knew I was starting to listen to the science and they heard me talk about the recovery piece. And they're like, this is really an important thing if you can do it. And we did it for the first time. And boy, I swear by it now. But it is a change. It's hard for a guy who's set in his ways and have done things for the same time or the same thing a long time and the same weekly schedule and daily schedule to make decisions on a practice day on a kid as extreme as sit him completely and on a Tuesday practice, like Vince Lombardi would roll over in his grave to say, I'm not going to practice my best kid on Tuesday because the science and data is telling me not to. It sounds ridiculous, but we said, listen, I was willing to go down this road of, all right, if you were all to ask me what's the most important thing for us to win football games, it's to have all our dogs healthy. That's the most important thing. If that really is true, we better listen to this science. So we make adjustments every day based on the science and feedback and data that we're getting. It's still a hard change for me. I grit my teeth and bite my tongue when we're like, hey, the quarterback needs today off. I'm like, it's goddamn Wednesday, bro. Like it's situation day. We're putting in third down and scoring zone. What do you like, coach? I'm like, okay, we're gonna. So that was a change for me, but I really believe in it now. I think it's been great. This is a funny one. I don't believe in pregame speeches anymore. I gave the best speeches you'd ever heard in your life and like bringing myself to tears, and we just go get beat 42-0. And then I give the worst speech you've ever heard and we just go upset a top 10 team. I'm like, these mean nothing. So I stopped doing it. It's hard to come up with the right material and you feel kind of goofy at times doing them. And I was okay at them. But I'm like, I want something more meaningful. So we wrote a creed, we call it. We kind of wrote this thing, and I used some players from our past and some current players myself. And over COVID, we just wrote this one-page creed that means it's written in kind of our language and uses words like palm up and falcon toughness. And I think it's one of the coolest things we've done. And now it's a very meaningful, powerful piece that our players kind of know and hear. And it's only on Saturday game day. And again, you look around the locker room and here's, grown men at 22 years old and in tears before a game because of a creed, not because of a pregame speech. And I think it's been a small thing, but a cool thing and some advice for people. If you suck at pregame speeches or you're getting stale with it, don't do it. Write a creed, have some players help you. And I'm willing to share mine too if coaches want to reach out to me, but it's become a cool thing.
Do you actually read that before the game as essentially your pregame speech, Matt? Does the whole team read it or just you read it? Or
we wrote ours. It's 4 different verses and it sort of ends. I read it and then each little verse ends with them kind of saying, I am a Falcon. We call it I am a Falcon. And so it's them repeating to me, I am a Falcon to end each little phrase. But yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah, Matt, I absolutely love that. I remember distinctly as a head coach, I was struggling and straining to figure out what am I going to say before the game to the team that, puts them in the right frame of mind. And I would struggle to come up with things. And I think that's an awesome idea.
What I was learning was I think they matter so little now.
Yep.
That's why I stopped doing them.
I think you're absolutely right. And I love also what you have gone from to what you are now and the changes that you've made and recognized. And you're right. Some of these science things make it difficult for the old time football. You got to do it this way. And science tends to change our frame of thinking. And I commend you for allowing that to happen within you and your staff and programs. So
thank you.
Really great stuff, Matt.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And thank you guys and Keith's on here too in the background. What you guys do, it's the best level of college football and Division III is where it's at. And I think the issues that we're seeing at Division I, the scholarships, and I hope we fix our games. We're going to lose it as we know it if we aren't careful at the highest level. And I know there's some trickle down happening with some of the negative pieces of NIL and the portal. And, I'm careful to trash it all completely because I think there's some positives of it. And at the core, I believe in some of what it was created for. But this negative spin that's created in college football is a mess, and this is the best level of ball and it's the most pure, and not enough people in our country know about how great college football is in Division III. So I always want to give a shout out to anybody that's pushing this and any platforms that support Division III football. So I appreciate you guys a lot.
We appreciate it as well. And Keith with his podcast and Logan Hansen, I think have really done a really good thing with promoting a head coach, an offense and defensive coordinator. And Again, we appreciate your time, appreciate your willingness to share. We wish you the best. I know that this weekend is a huge weekend for you. If I'm not mistaken, it's the conference championship that's on the line.
Yeah, it could be another historical day. It's funny too. Another thing I've done, I could add this to the list. I just thought about it, but you're bringing it up. I tell our team the truth now. I say, not that long ago when I was head coach, I could create my own narrative for the week, and you could lie to them and make up stuff and whatever bullcrap you wanted to, and it was all the information they had. You were their source of information, and I say, I can't lie to you guys anymore. Everything's at your fingertips. You know all the stuff before I do about the math and the scenarios and we call it the 5 minutes each day. I struggle with goal systems like SMART goals and all. I don't understand them and they never make sense to me. And we call it the clouds in the mud. It's like the clouds are where we want to live with championships and titles, and the mud is where we got to live to, the process to get there. So we call it the 5 minutes of the clouds every Monday at our team meeting. I'll do here later today. And I just lay out the truth so they hear it from me before digging and hearing it on a chat board or finding it on social media. And we just talk openly about it. And it's called our 5 minutes in the clouds. And it's going to be a fun one. Like, who isn't excited to say, you got a chance to, if you win, you lock up a piece of the conference title. If you win and get a little help, you got a chance to be an outright champion when you walk off the field on Saturday in the best league in the country for the first time here since 85 outright. We shared it in 98, haven't been to playoffs since 96. That's okay because right after the game, I'm like, how am I going to spin this? They knew before we had showered, like what it was. We just talk about it. And then we say, okay, the next slide's always this slide of some muddy old 1930s football player. It's like, let's get back to the grind. Let's get back in the mud. And that means the process and scout teams and video. But it's funny, I've changed where I'm just totally honest now. And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you talk about the math and this. I'm like, dude, they know more than I do. So instead of not talking about it, we just I throw it in their face for 5 minutes. And then the clouds is over. We don't talk about it again until Saturday. That's another change I've made. But yeah, it's an exciting opportunity. And I say we've earned the right to get to talk about this kind of day. And it's been a long time coming with the rebuild here to get this chance.
It's one of the biggest games in Division III football this coming weekend, and I'm anxious to see how it goes. And obviously, we wish both programs the best. You guys both do great jobs with your programs. Thanks again for your time. We don't want to keep you too long. Appreciate you being on, and good luck the rest of the way, Matt.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
That wraps up this week's Hansen Ratings D3 Coach and Coordinators of the Week, presented by Tully. Congratulations again to our honorees. Co-offensive coordinators Ryan Larsen and Andy Helms of Carnegie Mellon, defensive coordinator Tim Kologrivov of Susquehanna, and head coach Matt Walker of Wisconsin River Falls.
Great performances all around. We're really getting to the point at the end of the year here where some teams are going to get to keep playing and some teams are going to have to go home after they're done playing in a couple of weeks. And this week coming up is going to decide that for a lot of teams. I talked about it with Carnegie Mellon and how great their offensive performance was. Whitewater too, I'm sure this was cathartic for them to beat Whitewater, but River Falls has a game against La Crosse for the conference championship this week. So they don't have any time to rest on their laurels. But hopefully at the end of the season, they can look back and say, wow, we really did something special this year. Great job all around to our honorees this week, and good luck to everybody next week and the following.
Logan, thanks as always for your work breaking down the numbers and highlighting these great performances. We'll see you next week as we recognize more of Division III football's top coaching efforts.
Thank you for listening to Coaching Coordinator Network, Hansen Ratings D3 Coaching Coordinators of the Week show. We'll be back again next week with our week honorees. Be sure to check out our presenting sponsor, Tully.app. Go to their website and see all the things that they are doing. Definitely something that can help you as a coach, whether you're at the high school level or the D3 level, in managing your athletes and their development.